Welcome to Underqualified and Over It. I'm your host, Cindy, and joining me as always is Alice.
Hi.
In this podcast, we're over opinionated and unfortunately allowed to talk, so sit back, lower your expectations, and let's get into it. I messed with my audio settings and we didn't do a test, so we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, we'll see. I might just have to adjust.
I know. It's, it is what it is. I think at this point
It
we
is
recorded
what it is.
I know that we're still in the baby days of this podcast, but it's the more that we've been doing it for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
The more we do it, the less I give a shit. And I think that's what people call becoming comfortable. So
comfortable.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited because you've been working on getting us some graphics so that we can do a visual of some kind that's not
Yeah.
this
So
so it's not such an audio thing. I'm so excited, dude.
Yeah, I've been working on I'm designing us some PNG tubers that represent kind of how we are.
Our
So
bonds.
as you can probably tell by our differentiating theme songs, we've got the deep, moody, beautiful lady that is Cindy.
Oh.
And then we also have the bright and bubbly, hyperactive stuff that is me.
I
So
was
I
not
kind of was like,
expecting that.
what?
The deep, beautiful, whatever you said. It was just like, oh, you're talking about yourself, not me. That's fine. 'Cause I feel like
Oh, you're
when I
talking
think of
about me.
myself, I think of like lazy goth is all I think of, and I don't have. It's like I would hate my parents, except for I don't have the energy to give a shit kind of thing. So it's like apathetic goth. Whatever's gonna happen will happen. Oh,
Beautiful, deep, sensual,
oh
broody
yeah,
woman.
yeah. Who hasn't had enough coffee today? That
Absolutely
is.
gorgeous.
Oh, thanks, Fred. I'm married. I'm
I
married.
know. I can appreciate you, though. I'm allowed.
Not for free. You have to find my OnlyFans. And you have to pay to
You don't
appreciate
have one
me.
of those. You're not allowed one
Not
of those.
that you know of. That you know of, bitch. No. God. I'm so tired. Dude, it is 1:30 in the afternoon and I'm exhausted. I feel like I got no sleep. I slept for 7.5 hours, so I got a decent amount of sleep, but I feel like I slept like shit. Like I just didn't get
This
any
is really
rest.
this is really funny though, because usually it's me that is
Mhm.
absolutely knackered, whereas
Yeah.
I am wired and I have all of the energy right now. I got a really good sleep. When I went to bed last night, I just decided I'm just gonna, because usually we listen to true crime or SCP stories when we're going to
Mhm.
sleep,
Yeah.
and I love that. It's great, but last night I was like, do you know what? I fancy a bit of peace and quiet. And he was still downstairs playing on his game. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna have nothing. Just gonna
Mhm.
have nothing. And I did, and it was so nice. It was nice and peaceful, and I fell asleep really quickly. And
Mhm.
then I actually naturally woke up at 8 o'clock this morning, looked at the time, and went, nah. I went
Mm.
back to sleep. And then I went back to sleep for about an hour and a half, and then I was like, right, okay, I'll actually wake up now. So I
Yeah.
did my morning routine of getting up, well, not getting up, sitting up, having some of my vape, scrolling through TikTok as you do.
Mhm.
And then I was like, right, okay, it's time to actually get up and do some stuff now. So I went and got the beef into the oven so that I can do my meal prep for our lunches and get that started, because I'm doing that
Yeah.
this week. I just need to go get some eggs tomorrow for the rest of them. But that's fine,
Yeah.
because when we went shopping yesterday, the whole store was out of eggs. And I have the
Yeah.
sneaking suspicion that it's because it's Easter at the weekend
Yeah, it's Easter
and
weekend, so I
everybody's just
don't
buying eggs.
I'm so used to so like all the eggs here are all brown because they haven't gone
Yeah,
through the processes that we have our eggs go through in America.
yeah.
When you're painting eggs, does it come out like clearly or is it like always got that brown tint underneath it? Like are your when you do eggs for like
Depends on what kind of paint you're using.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because ours is literally like it's like drawing with markers on a sheet of white printer paper. Like
Yeah, also a lot of people will like quite a lot of people they'll hard boil the egg and then what they'll do is they'll put them overnight in bleach
can you even eat the egg after that?
to get rid of the brown. You don't eat the egg.
Okay, well that's stupid and
Yeah,
wasteful.
I know. So you don't eat the egg when you painted it. Because the
Like
vast
that's the
majority
thing.
of the paints the
We always ate the egg after, like
we
when we're
we
done
don't.
painting them. Like
And I
weird.
think it's a complete and utter waste.
Yeah, that's very very wasteful, especially
Yeah,
with how expensive eggs have been over the past few years. Like that's
yeah.
crazy to me. To hard boil eggs and then not use them as somebody who puts the hard boiled eggs or I guess technically like soft boiled eggs, however, like gummy eggs, um, into like my ramen and stuff. Like so yummy. And the fact that you would just toss it is insane to me.
Yeah.
When you could
Honestly,
if
like
you
people just
bleached it,
don't
obviously
understand.
you can't because that's like food safety and whatnot. But it's like you could just peel it like don't bleach it, peel it, put it in a fucking thing and let it soak for however many days in your soy sauce and your spices and stuff, and then you put it in a
Yeah, well,
ramen. Like,
that's what
what
I
the
plan
fuck?
to do. But we get paid on the 11th, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get some more eggs on the 11th to do that. But all of the eggs that I'm buying tomorrow are going into my meal prep. So what am I making? I'm making breakfast burritos. I'm making egg pesto and mozzarella sandwiches. I'm making steak burritos, which I'm doing today. I'm doing egg, bacon, and cheese muffins
Mhm.
as well. So that's a lot of eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Good
the
protein
with the
though.
yeah, with the breakfast burritos, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scramble the eggs,
Mhm.
and that'll make the eggs like go further,
Yeah.
so that I can use less eggs in the breakfast burritos, and then I've got enough eggs for doing the
You
sandwiches
know,
because they need like a full egg on top.
something you might do to also bulk
Mhm.
it out a bit if you're really trying to stretch things out is silken tofu. It doesn't really have a taste or anything like that, but it has the texture of like egg whites, and when you
Oh
cook it
right.
up, it'll cook just like egg would. The texture
Oh.
will be very much like egg. So
Oh. Okay.
you toss some of that in there. You can find it in like the international aisle usually.
Okay, well, I'll have a look tomorrow and see if I can't find that. It's just
Yeah,
I need the taste of the egg as well
right. But if you
as the
pair it with the
texture.
egg, it'll just
But if I pair it
basically
with the
like
egg, yeah.
it's like adding courgette to or zucchini to pasta dishes because once you
Oh,
cook
right.
it, it has the same texture as pasta. So you throw some courgette in with your noodles and then you put the Alfredo sauce in it. You mix it together. You've added fiber, you've added greens, and you haven't changed the flavor, the texture too much. So,
Right. Okay. I will have a look. I mean, if I can't find it in the World Foods aisle, I'll pop down to we've got an Oriental supermarket,
oh yeah, they'll have it there for sure.
so
Yeah.
they should have it there. And I'm hoping it is a decent price because it's getting to the end of the month
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have enough money.
Well, it's
That's why I'm
definitely
doing
one of
these
those
batch
things
cooks.
like you have to like go through and figure out like exactly what the balance of everything is going to be
Yeah.
because it is I mean, we touched on this a little bit a couple episodes ago or was it last episode? Whatever, however many episodes ago or
However
in the
many
future it'll
episodes ago.
be. Um somewhere around here we also talked about nutrition and stuff. So, yeah, you just I feel like in the UK it's oftentimes a lot cheaper to just go to the shop every single day and only buy what you're making for that day kind of thing. Like it is not as much of a meal prep country as the US is because I mean there are places like in Nevada and places that people still drive like 4 hours to get to
Yeah.
Walmart, and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
It's
only
like
going to the
I've got a
grocery store
friend
once this month.
I've got a friend that's like an hour out from his
Hmm.
main town, and I'm there
Yeah,
like, I have to walk 10 minutes down the road.
yeah, an hour is not that
Of my
bad
big shop.
even. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great. Like, but when I was growing up, I was 30 minutes from town, so like it was an hour overall. So if you had to just go to Walmart and then come back home, it would have taken you an hour. But
And
yeah,
then the time that it took to stay in Walmart, so it's more like 2,
yeah. Which people
depending
think
on how
that
long you were.
it feels like when you're going from like little shop to little shop here in the UK, they think you're walking like more than you would be walking in Walmart in America. When in reality, Walmart in America is just so big, you're actually walking the same amount, if not more,
Honestly.
because of the car park and the parking lot and the, you know, going from your parking spot, which I usually try to park relatively far away from the door because I'm able-bodied, which that can be like a quarter mile in and of itself just walking there and back. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, if I'm in a car, luckily, I don't have to do as much walking because usually
Mhm.
I'm in my mum's car. My mum's got a disabled badge
Vroom,
now,
vroom.
so it's like,
I'm in my mom's
yay!
car.
I'm in my mum's car.
Vroom, vroom. Get out me car.
Aww.
Oh man. Well, uh I have like kind of a general idea of what I want to talk about today. I've got to take these glasses off. I thought like I could do this with these like blue light blocking glasses because I thought maybe that's why I didn't sleep well, was because I was literally online all day yesterday, like filming, editing, recording, filming, editing, like. And so I was like, well, maybe it's just the blue light, and I put those on, and I have over the ear headphones, and it's just I cannot. I'm overstimulated. I can't do it. Um,
How do you think I feel?
I know, I know. I don't
I have
envy
to wear
you.
glasses every single day because I is blind.
Yeah. Well, God looked at me and he was like, you know what, bitch, you get sight for free. So,
And that's why whenever I walk into a church, somebody turns around and goes, "The devil has arrived."
the devil has arrived. Luckily, she can't see.
Luckily, she can't see. She's blind.
Anyways.
I mean, I'm not that blind.
No, I know. But, anyways, I figured, because we are the underqualified and over at podcast, we may as well talk about things that we are over. And I kind of wanted to talk about trends because there have been a lot of trends cropping up recently that I'm just like, all right, I'm over that. And it's kind of like how when you and I were growing up, it was like YOLO and things like that. Like it's like shit like that where it's like, all right, that's been done to death and we need to lay it to rest and let it die. And so everybody collectively was like, yeah, YOLO is so out. We don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
However, there are still some things that I was watching a video, somebody was talking about millennial phrases that need to die, saying cool beans and
Oh, cool
awesome sauce.
beans.
And I was like, you know what? I don't disagree with you that they need to die. However, at the same time, I don't say them to the point to where it's like,
No,
okay,
yeah.
you know,
I'll say them occasionally because I
yeah.
like those.
I
I
say
like
them
awesome
without
sauce. I
realizing
love
I'm
cool.
saying them. Like that's the thing. Is I'm not it's not a habit of mine to say them. But it's like I'll say cool beans more often. I don't really say awesome sauce, but like
Oh, I say
cool
awesome
beans,
sauce more.
I do not say awesome sauce. Like it's never really been a part of my vernacular, but I do say cool beans because it's a way to say like, yeah, okay, and without it being like aggressive kind of thing.
Oh my
And
gosh. Is
so
is 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 this
it's the
our Team Edward, Team Jacob vibes? Team Cool Beans,
potentially
Team Awesome Sauce.
uh God no. Uh because everybody who has grown up through Twilight realizes that both of them were shitty options and that
Oh yeah,
Charlie was the way to
definitely.
go.
Yes.
Okay? I'm just
But
saying.
yes, Charlie, but also Carlisle. I wouldn't say no to that man.
I have some issues with Carlisle because he was turning people into vampires kind of against their will, and there's a whole conversation on consent that you could have with that.
Good point. Good point.
And it's like, you're
That's a good
over
point.
thousands of years old. Like, you should know better.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be shoving tea down somebody's throat, kind of thing.
True.
Because Edward, the whole time, he's like, I never wanted this for myself. I don't want this for you, kind of thing. He was also really creepy and watching her sleep and like breaking into her house and like all sorts of questionable and very manipulative. And I just, yeah, I cannot stand Edward.
Onto the trends.
And Jacob was 14, so no.
That was yet again, that was a trend in our like teenhood.
Yeah, that's.
And to be quite honest, I didn't find either of those guys attractive at all.
I definitely found Taylor Lautner more attractive, but not to the point to where I would. No,
I liked Emmett.
Who did I find attractive? Did I find anybody attractive in that series?
Just because he was Rottweiler coded.
Yeah, I can see why
Emmett
you
was
would like
so
Emmett.
Rottweiler coded, and I loved him so much. I think my favorite scene is like when he walks in with the eggs.
The eggs.
And I'm just like,
yeah,
just a bag of eggs, my guy. But it kind of makes sense because like he's like a muscle bro.
I always thought that Laurent was attractive.
Yes,
Laurent and like the redheaded girl, not the first actress that they had, but the second actress that they
the second
had
one
for
yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought she was very attractive. Laurent was very attractive, and then I want to say Jasper, but that's also because I read the books, and so. But my favorite character now is Rosalie. 100%. Rosalie,
I
killing your attackers. Yes.
I feel like I love Jasper.
Jasper
a little
is
bit
really cool.
biasedly. Due to the fact that my name's Alice.
That's valid. That is a valid.
And I loved Alice as well. Alice was fantastic for me because I was like in my teens just figuring out basically that I might have ADHD, and I'm just like, yeah, I get the whimsy, my guy.
In October, once it gets closer to Hoa Hoa season, we should like do like a psychoanalyzation of all the characters of Twilight.
Yes.
I will say the best cast.
I will see if I can't find my my Alice choker.
Yeah,
I have Twilight merch somewhere in my house,
dude. I don't think I ever bought merch, and if I did, it's not in this country. So
I was gifted it.
But no, I think the person who was best cast were the members of the Volturi. I think, like, especially when he touches her hand and ha 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 ha, or like when he sees her or whatever. Fucking love him.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Yeah.
Oh, I love him as an actor. He's stunning.
He is very, very good.
So good in basically in anything that he has done. I'm just like, that man can eat. Honestly, any role that he is given, on it.
Have you ever watched Bad Omens?
Yes. Ooh, I love Bad Omens.
Yeah.
And I'm so unhappy with the way that all went down because of the whole. This is my trend that I hate, the cancel culture trend.
I have a love-hate relationship
it's dipping
with it.
off now.
Yeah, it is.
But it's one
very
of those
selective.
where I am very much, especially with the fact of we used to be a very innocent before until proven guilty kind of thing, right? That's what it's supposed to be.
In the
But when
UK?
allegations come up, especially like so, say for instance Johnny Depp, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, when the allegations came up with
Are you talking about in the UK or the US, or are you just talking about both in general?
all over,
Okay.
like all
Because there's definitely
cancel
some
culture.
countries where it's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. But I mean, like, especially in the US and the UK, it should be
Mm-hmm.
that. So like with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, as soon as it came out that Johnny Depp might be an
Yeah.
aggressive partner,
Mm-hmm.
um, Warner Brothers dropped him from
Mm-hmm.
doing the Fantastic Beasts films,
Yeah.
and he wasn't able to like.
He was
It was
blackballed.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
blacklisted, and the same happened with the guy that made Good Omens. Bearing in mind, it wasn't just him that made it; it was Terry Pratchett as well.
Oh.
I think
Oh, like one
I'm
of the
sure.
producers?
The guy that helped write it,
Oh, okay,
Neil
one of the
Gaiman.
writers. Okay. I don't know anything about the
There
writers.
was
I just know that it
allegations
has
towards
David
Neil
Tennant
Gaiman, which
and
actually have
Martin Sheen
now
in it.
come out. If I remember correctly, they've come out as they weren't. They were just allegations. That there was no truth to them.
There was no
Um,
proof. But then you
yeah,
also have like the issue of like so something we used to say in the military is perception is reality. So the minute that somebody perceives something about you, it becomes their reality.
yeah.
Um which really sucks. That's the most dangerous part of cancel culture, and I agree. So that's what we're doing today is we're talking about trends that we are completely over. One of the things that I'm over is the 6'7" trend.
Yeah,
And
so am I.
that is kind of like the YOLO trend. Like you can't really blame kids because half of the fun is how annoying it is to older people, right? So like it is what it is. Of like we used to say YOLO because it used to piss our parents off.
Yeah.
YOLO. And
YOLO.
yeah,
And
and then our
yeet.
parents would be like, "No, stop it. What are you doing?" Because they lived through the 80s and they're like, we're not doing this." And so we grew up with YOLO, just how these kids are now being like taught this 6'7" thing because now it is just used as a torture device for older
Oh
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
all it
also
is.
you've got like the AI slop stuff that's on TikTok that's
Yeah,
like it's just invading the children's minds. So yeah, I was in this store in the UK and I'm walking around and all I can hear is this child going, Cappuccino ballerina. Cappuccino
yeah,
ballerina. Skibbity
yeah.
toilet. And I'm just
How
like
old?
about like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
And I mean, I get that it for that sort of child, but then
yeah.
I'm walking down the road and there's like 15-year-olds doing it as well. I'm like, grow
That's
up.
crazy. Well, the thing is, right? I have a certain level of compassion for that kind of behavior because that's just kids being kids, and kids should be
Yeah,
allowed to be kids. It is the cycle of life. Our parents did it to their parents. Their parents
yeah.
did it to their parents. Like it's always been a thing where like even the word like soccer came from people just like shortening and creating different like acronyms. It's actually your guys' fault, by the way, that the Americans say soccer. But that's neither
Why?
here nor there.
Because I always thought that it was because you guys decided to turn rugby into football
Mm-mm.
and then you needed a different word for football because soccer is football and football is rugby for wimps.
Okay. So the reason why soccer is a thing, it originated in the 19th century England as a colloquial abbreviation for association football, derived from ASOC. So, and then adding the ending ER,
Ah.
ASOC to soccer. So you guys would shorten, you would call association football ASOC. And then it became a thing during that era around the 1880s to add to things. So
Oh,
it'd be
right,
a
okay.
soccer. And then so we
Just
started
soccer.
calling it soccer, which you guys also were calling it soccer, and then you guys dropped it and went back to football.
Fellas,
So It's very interesting. But
It makes the sense.
yeah. Another thing that because like kids should be allowed to be kids, and we live in such a world nowadays where kids are forced to grow up so fucking fast. And like even if they want to or whether they don't want to, like kids don't have the opportunity because I mean, you think about it like 8 years old you're having your own phone. Your phone has internet on it. Internet has all sorts of horrible things on it, which then you're seeing things that we as 8-year-olds never saw. You know, we saw a lot of things. We saw an
Oh yeah,
unfiltered internet, so we
we
went
did.
through a whole thing.
So the whole thing of kids growing up as well is the fact of from an early age we're all like put into this thing of like especially the education system. It's like at
Mm,
16, right? You have had to like at the age of 16, you have to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. And that's what's
yeah.
drilled into you. When you've done your GCSEs, you then need to choose what you want to do for your job for the rest of your life. And that's it's
Yeah.
fully drilled in. Like you have to go to college, you have to go to university. You don't have to do any of those things. You can get an apprenticeship. And now it's getting lesser and lesser because people are like being introduced to apprenticeships a lot more nowadays.
Mhm.
And I think that they are fantastic, especially for people who like want to get into like electrician work or plumbing or anything like that, or like even like bike repairs and stuff. We need that kind of stuff in this country. But it's the fact of quite a lot of people are just told, "Oh, you can do whatever you want to do." It's like
Yeah.
it's yes, you can, but to a certain extent.
I think that I agree and disagree, right? So like people learning the fact that you can say no to things or you can choose your own path, that's something that people do need to know that they have.
Yeah,
However, you have to pair that with critical thinking, right? If you don't go to college and you don't choose a degree, you should know that like what you're choosing is not permanent, right? You can choose whether later on whether to work in that or not. However, if you don't get a degree or if you don't get training of any kind, how are you going to pay for bills? How are you going to live your life? How are you going to pay for groceries? And we kind of live in a society where kids are to a certain point they're growing up too fast and then they reach a point and then they're not growing up at all. And it's like it is super destructive. That's why like the age of retirement keeps going up. It's because people are not getting into careers or not getting jobs. They don't want to work because and as people of the parental age, like it's kind of our fault, right? Because we are, oh, you can just stay with me until you get on your feet. You can stay with me until you get on their feet. And then they never get on their feet and then here you are 20 years down the road and you're just like, okay, well, you need to get on your feet. You are in your mid 30s. It is time for you to move out. like, but they
yeah.
just don't want to.
So this is a thing as well. Like this would be classed as a trend of people staying at home for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
But I have seen on like Reddit forums, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all of that, they've people are like, "Oh, I charge my child who is 25 rent to stay in our house because they've got to either they've got to like help with the bills. They're
Right.
eating the food that's there. They're using the
Mm.
electricity. They're
Yep.
using the gas. All of that.
Yeah.
And if they have a job, yeah, full right. But the thing is, as well, I've seen a positive on this side where I've seen quite a few parents doing from say the age of 18 and
Yeah.
their child has gone out and got themselves a part-time job. What they'll do is they'll take like a percentage of that their earnings as their rent. And they teach them how to budget properly because we're not taught in schools how to budget and how rent works and how
Yeah.
mortgages work. I think that that needs to be sorted out, but that can be for a subject for another time. Um, but what those parents are doing with that percentage that they're taking is they're putting it into a savings account for their child later on in life. And
Mhm.
then what's happening is when that child is going, okay, fair enough, I'm ready to move out now. the parents are like, oh, okay, cool. Are you gonna go and buy a house? Are you gonna go and rent? And they turn around and go, oh well, in this market, I don't have enough to like put down for a mortgage. But
Right.
what those parents have done by doing that savings account
Mhm.
is they've actually managed to put away enough for them for their deposit for a mortgage for a
Yeah.
house. Not a lot of people are doing that because and I've seen like the Reddit posts about it, and someone's like saying like there's so many people that are complaining that people are doing that for their children, and they're like, but I'm giving them a positive outcome. Yes, but they need to live their lives, they need to enjoy themselves, this, that, and the other. Yeah, they can enjoy themselves with the rest of the money that they have, but
Mhm.
putting like a little nest egg together for them out of their own money teaches them how to budget and how to like utilize money properly, because
Yeah.
otherwise they're going to spend all of their money. Like when I went to university, like when we first moved in and we got our first payment, three of the guys that I were living with went out and bought PS5s straight off with their money.
Mhm.
They went and spent their money on video games, drugs, alcohol, everything. And then by the end of the semester, when we were like needing the money for food and stuff, or they were needing money for food and stuff, they were like, oh, I've not got any money left. I'm like, yeah, because you've bought all of that stuff. Whereas I'm sat there eating flipping mashed potatoes
Mhm.
because I'm making sure that I've got enough money to last me. But
Yeah.
that's because my mum taught me how to budget.
Yeah, no, people need to teach their children how to budget. And I saw somebody, they were talking about how what they do is they give their children allowances starting from the age, I think they start at like the age of like 8 or something. And they give them like 20 pound or however many a week. But then they have expenses, right? They have to they have to go through and they have like, all right, so how much do you want to put into savings? How much do you want to put toward your expenses? And how much do you want to put toward this? And that's what they do with the expenses category, because you cannot, this is one thing, you cannot charge your children when they are under the age of like 18 in the US anyway. You legally cannot charge your children for rent if they are under the age of 18, because guess what, bitch? You brought that child into this world. You, by getting pregnant, by having a child, have decided, all right, I am signing on to this 18-year contract with this human that I will not charge them and I will pay for them and I will support them. And that's why if you do not have the money and you do not have the finances to um or the emotional capacity to be able to do that for another human, do not have children. And actually I found out recently that women not having children are the majority now.
Yeah, they are. And you know, one of the main reasons for that is because um so back in the day, um you obviously had most of the time it was the man of the household that went out and earned the money to bring the money back into the household. And you
Mhm.
could live easily on a
Yeah.
one person household. Nowadays, you need at least four people in your household making money to actually have a decent life,
Yeah, it's
unfortunately.
here in the UK, yeah, for sure. I mean, you can
Um
still do a single income household in the US. It is very, 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 very difficult, but you can make it work. It gets a little complicated with kids and stuff, but you have the potential to make more money in the US
yeah.
because you're able to build and run successful businesses without the government kind of meddling for the most part. It is a lot easier to build and start and run a business that is profitable in the US than it is here because of the competitive, like, say what you want about capitalism, agree with it, disagree with it. It creates a competitive market, which
Yeah.
helps businesses grow, right? It
Yeah.
also like it has a little bit of a hoarding mentality and a little bit of a scarcity mentality sometimes that goes along with it, but hey, that's human error. Um,
So these women now are going out and getting these jobs because they need to, especially
mhm,
in this country. And
yeah,
then they're finding that like quite a lot of these women are finding that they get so much joy out of their job,
Mhm.
um that they just don't want children. They're just like,
Yeah,
no,
well
it's okay. I'll work and I'm happy with that. But also, you've got the other side of it where the people who are working and they're doing the jobs are then wanting to go and have children. And because of the whole maternity paternity case thing, especially in this country, um, paternity level, like, so if you wanted some time off to spend with your child if you were a man when that child was just born, it's so much lower than a woman.
mhm,
And even then, you're kind of still getting ostracized. Yes, there's laws in place that if you go on maternity leave, that when you come back, you get to have your job back. But it's also the case of that people kind of just treat people differently with kids as well. And then
mhm,
there's also the flip side of people without kids. Like I've worked in places where I don't have children, but other people have, and they've had to have like extra time off, or they've had to go home early because the child's ill and stuff like that. And I get the whole stigmatization of people having children, and that presses on women as well, because people are like, oh well, there's lots of stigmatism on children, on having children, because we get treated differently, because we have to have extra time off and blah blah blah, and we've chosen to have this child, and then people treat us differently for making that decision. But now they're like, especially at the minute, they're going, oh, the birth rates are down. I wonder why.
mhm. Yeah. Well, and it also is that, like, society as a whole, and this kinda goes into another thing I'm over trend-wise, is, like, is hating on men, and, like, that extends to women as well, but it like, there's such a division between the sexes, right? Where it's like, "Oh, men aren't shit, men don't do anything, men did blah, blah, blah." So why the fuck would they try?
Yeah,
And then there's the opposite end of that where it's like women are, easy and they're not making men work for it, and so then why would why would a man commit? Like, I understand and everybody's gonna live their lives the way that they wanna live their lives, but the thing is that the dynamic between men and women has shifted so much because the expectation is that women will not only work a full-time job, but then they'll come home and they'll run the household and they'll do the cleaning and the cooking, and they take on the emotional burden of making most of the decisions that go on in the household, which means that the men, they go to work and they come home and they don't have to do anything. And it's like, that is not, and I think that there are obviously some relationships that are better and worse than others, right? Um, Now, if you're a homemaker, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a stay-at-home wife, you're a house person, and that's your, like, quote, unquote, "job," like, yeah, that is a job. That is work. That is something that has to be done regardless of whether you have somebody doing it or not. Like, it is just something that needs to be done, and so, because society has gotten to this point where they have, like, almost emasculated men so much where it's like, why men need to be able to be men. But also, at the same time, men need to realize that the sole responsibility and how society has shifted does means that their job description as a husband or as a partner has expanded. As roles change and as things go on, even as like if you're a supervisor at a supermarket, right? Your job description may change, but your responsibilities just widen. They don't lessen. If
yeah,
somebody is not there to close, guess who's closing? You. You
yeah,
may not close every single time because you may have a staffer that is supposed to do that, but sometimes maybe they get sick or they have to go somewhere else. That does not mean that responsibility just doesn't happen. It means you, the supervisor, have to do it.
yeah,
And you're like, well, that's below me. That's not my job description. It's like, and that's the way that men kind of see like the housework and I hate the phrase babysitting your kids because
Oh yeah, I
you're
know.
just parenting. Like
Yeah.
that whole thing where it's like when you are a single person, and this goes for men or women, if you're a single person, you still have to go to work, pay your bills, do your cooking, do your laundry, do your housework. Like you have to do all of those things. Now, when you join another person and you expand that, guess what? All of those things still need to be done. And especially if you are in a partnership where you're both still working full time, then yeah, that stuff still needs to be done. However, maybe you split it down the middle, or you divide it based off of earnings, or because like maybe one of you quits your job, like it just however you divide it, it gets divided, right? Or it should be. It shouldn't just automatically fall to the woman. But I feel like there's this like mindset of, oh, well, uh, she's a woman, therefore, like I don't have to do it, kind of thing. Whereas like that is now because I'm in a partnership with her, that becomes below me and I don't have to do that. It's like that's not how it works. It
Yeah.
expands your life. It
And
doesn't like diminish anything.
yeah. And a lot of the time, like because there's been this massive shift in the whole like system of what men do and what women do.
Mhm.
Um because men have been taught from an early age of men don't cry, men don't
Mhm.
feel
Yep.
feelings like that, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Um, Men aren't allowed to like show their emotions, blah 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 blah. Um, it gets to the point where men are having a problem because they've been told that
Mhm.
they need to man up, they need to
Mhm.
be the person who's the
They
strong
become
one,
so
and all of
emotionally
this.
stunted.
And
Yeah.
they do, yeah. And this is why we have a excruciatingly high rate of male sewer slides in this.
That's another trend I hate, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I roll my eyes. I know why you're doing it because the algorithm is the way that it is, but I literally have that on my list of unalived, graped, etc. avoidant verbiage. I cannot fucking stand it. Just call it what it is. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I can't stand it, but I understand like there's
Yeah, but
algorithms and shit.
that's another thing as well. That
Oh.
and yet again, avoidant verbiage, right? So not just that sort of thing, but what
Mhm.
I don't get is why aren't we teaching our kids the correct terminology for their bits and
Genitalia. Yeah.
pieces? Yeah, because I'm sorry, but if a child comes up to me and goes, "Oh, that this such and such a person touched my
Mm,
cookie,"
yeah, my
I'm
uncle
like,
touched my
"Okay,
cookie. Yeah.
go and get another one."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
my cookie, and I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." If they actually came up to you and said, "Oh,
Mhm.
by the way, such and such touched my vagina," I'd be like,
Mhm.
"Right, onward. We're
Yeah.
sorting that out right now." Or,
Yeah.
"Oh, they touched my penis," or
Mhm.
whatever. You
Yeah.
know exactly what's going on. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
mixed gerbil that you're just like, "Oh, I don't understand what's happening in
I
the
think
situation."
parents I think parents nowadays are getting better with that because I do have friends who they specifically have talked to me about it and have said like, yeah, that's why I do what I do because there are so many people out there who have suffered at the hands of adult as children. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, now it's like, oh yeah, I need to teach my children because I need to be a better parent than I was parented kind of thing. And so I get that. And I agree with that. I think it is getting better. One of the things that as you and I sitting here childless talking about how people need to parent their children, that's another thing I dislike, right? Is just because you and I don't have children does not mean that we don't have eyes and
Yeah.
that we don't see things that would help. I remember there was this girl that I was friends with and she was complaining that her kid was not eating, right? That he was not eat. She would make him food and he wouldn't eat. And I noticed that he always had a bottle of whole milk with him at any given time. Any given time he asked for a refill, she give it to him. And he like literally from when he would wake up to when he would be put to bed, he always had this milk with him. I was like, well, as an observation, it's like he's
He's
drinking
full.
whole milk all the time. He's probably full. That's probably
Yeah.
why he's not eating. Have you considered giving him water? And she, like, the look that she gave me was just so like frustrated and irritated that I would even say anything. I was like, okay, I'm just going to shut the hell up because you obviously can't take constructive criticism. This has nothing to do with your quote unquote parenting style, but logic would say that some creature that is drinking a fatty substance like whole milk is probably going to be full 80% of the time because milk and fats are very filling, especially for little stomachs. Like it has nothing to do with your parenting style and everything to do with the fact that like yes, 1 + 1 = 2. And I, as somebody who doesn't have kids, I can see that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not, it's literally not rocket science. But the fact that I didn't have kids and I had the audacity to
Yeah.
say anything, it's like, I'm just a human that can recognize things. So it's not that do I think that you should tell somebody how to parent their children? No. Do I think that it's okay to make observations about simple things for people who have children? Yeah. I think it's fine. I think that sometimes you have a parent who's exhausted, sleep deprived, is overwhelmed, is too in it to be able to actually see what the issue is, being able to be outside of that and say, hey, just so you know, XYZ could be the issue. You might try this. Like having somebody who's separated from it and unbiased because they don't give a shit, it is valuable information to have.
The way that I see like people parenting children is slightly the same way that I see people that are in abusive relationships,
Yeah.
because it's the same reaction.
Yeah.
They'll turn around and be like, "How dare you turn around and talk to me about my relationship, this, that, and the other."
Well,
Especially, say for instance that you're a single person and you're not in a relationship. How
yeah.
dare you turn around and tell me what I should do in my relationship? How dare you turn around and tell me what I should do with my child? You don't have a child. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but I've got nieces and nephews. I've also got
Mhm.
nieces and nephews that have neurodivergencies. I've got neurodivergencies myself. I can pinpoint stuff because we as neurodivergent people can pick up on other neurodivergent people. And it's
Mhm.
also the fact of, so I had a similar one with the eating thing. My friend's like relative or something, their
Mhm.
child didn't want to eat what they were eating, and suddenly it was like, oh, it was a big hullabaloo, this, that, and the other. Kind of like, oh, if you don't eat everything that's on your plate, you're not having dessert, or this, that, and the other. Oh, you can just go to bed hungry. I hate that. But it was the fact of actually the kid had ARFID.
Yeah.
I'm sat there watching the whole situation and he's picking at different bits and stuff, and then he actively avoided something that was on the plate. And
Mhm.
then, because then his sister as well, all of her stuff was touching. And she was like, I don't want to eat it. Don't want to eat it. And I was like, all of her food's touching. Have you thought of maybe getting her a plate that has different sections so that she can have? Oh, she's not a baby because she was about like 7 or 8. She was just like completely
Yes.
avoidant of eating it.
I think that you probably have a little bit more compassion for that kind of thing than I do because I think that your neurodivergency probably affects your life more than it affects mine. More than mine affects mine, I should say. Um, I think that there is a certain level of your food's touching. Guess what? Life happens and you have to sometimes deal with it, right? So there is a skill set to even though you have neurodivergency. Now, if it's to an extreme point, then we can problem solve. But the first like if you have a child who it's like every third meal that they're doing it, but the other two meals they're doing it just fine. Like and it's
Yeah.
like the same meal every time and they're just being picky with it, that's one thing. Having a child that literally like you pack them in almost like a like those like children's plates that have like the
Yeah.
walls and everything, like the separators, and they pack that and they take that with them everywhere they go, even into adulthood. That's another thing, right? If you are problem solving it yourself, like maybe what you could do is have a conversation with the child and be like, right, I understand in this moment that you don't like that your food is touching. However, you have to also realize that in the world, if you go to a restaurant and you order food, the food will sometimes come and it'll be touching. So what can you do as yourself to either make it palpable to where you can eat it, or what are some and help them come up with creative problem
Yeah.
solving, right? So yes, I understand that there are certain like neurodiversities that do create issues with that, but I think it's also important to teach them
Yeah.
sometimes life sucks and you have to just deal with it, and sometimes you need to come up with creative problem solving. But the thing is you don't have parents nowadays that have the emotional capacity to be able
Yeah.
to teach their kids that. It's very
And that's where
frustrating.
you end that's also where you end up with, like, teenagers that start shouting at their parents.
Yeah. Oh my
That
gosh. Cannot stand it.
Oh, I know, same. The amount of times that I've been out and about and this teenager has just started shouting at their mum. If I'd have shouted at my mum,
Mm.
oh my
Mhm.
god,
Yeah.
that just wouldn't happen.
No.
I
I
mean, I
have always
did, but then afterwards I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." But I'd never do it in public.
no, absolutely not. The amount of entitlement that children are being raised with nowadays, and the
Yeah,
parents also, because parents are not having children when they are emotionally able to, like how I was talking about earlier, having the emotional capacity to raise a child because it is a job. You have to be level-headed. I have never my husband and I have never shouted at each other. I've never understood as an adult, how are you not able to have a calm and collected conversation? I understand that you can have big emotions, like talking to children. Like, you're an adult. How are you not able to take your big emotion and compartmentalize it into a way that you can have a conversation? When I see
yeah,
adults shouting, whether they're drunk or not, it's like, how are you not able to emotionally regulate? How did you make it this far into your life that you do not know how to emotionally regulate yourself to be able to have a conversation? Because as an adult, you should realize that shouting does not get anywhere. It does
yeah.
not de escalate the situation. It does not solve anything. And all it does is make you more mad.
Our problem in my household is it's not about emotional regulation.
Mm,
It's about certain people in this household don't understand volume regulation.
right.
And when one person doesn't understand volume regulation and it sounds like they're angry, the other
Hmm.
person doesn't realize that they're not actually angry and they're just being loud occasionally. And
Yeah.
that's where it gets into a shouting match. But then after it's all of the shouting's done and everything, it's like it'll all go straight down, and we'll be like,
Hmm.
we'll have an actual conversation. It's one
Yeah.
of those where occasionally in our household we need to let that steam off.
I am personally of the opinion, and again, this is my experience in my life. If you need to let off steam, you don't need to do it by shouting.
Yeah,
That's the thing. For me personally, like, you can do squats, you can go for a walk, you can get a breath of fresh air, you can smoke a cigarette, you can have a shot. Like, there are other ways to handle things than to shout. Like, I hear my upstairs neighbor like shouting down at his kids all the time. And it's like, what is that teaching your children? What information do you think that your children are learning from that? You
yeah,
know? Like, if you and it goes kind of the same, right? So like, I'm sure you and your partner would probably have a different dynamic if you had a child in the mix, right? It would be one of those things that you would probably not want to shout around your child. I don't know how you would handle things. Like, but you would probably change how you and your partner communicate, right? Which means that you have the ability to change it now, but there's no external pressure to get you to change it. So therefore, it's
Yeah.
not a priority. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But it's like you can do it. You just have to choose to do it. My husband and I, we both don't like shouting. We refuse to shout at each other. We refuse to speak to each other that way. If I feel like he is being disrespectful toward me, I will say don't talk to me that way. You know, like cuz there have been times where he'll speak in frustration and like he's not shouting, but he's just like blah 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 blah. And it's like don't you talk to me that way. And I'd never raised my voice. I've never had to raise my voice. And to the fact that people lose their tempers so much to the point to where they're like punching walls and doors and like throwing things and like laying hands on each other because that's
Yeah.
the escalation, right? You don't learn how to regulate your anger and your emotions and let off steam in a proper manner. All it does is it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Now it sounds like you and your partner are like it's a different
Yeah,
situation for you
it's
guys.
one of them. We don't shout at each other a lot. It's like
Mhm.
once in a blue moon,
Yeah.
honestly. And the vast majority of the time, it's mostly due to the fact of we've either been both been way too busy to have a proper sit down conversation about the things that we need to talk about. And it's all just been bottled up, and then it's released,
Mhm.
and that's what's caused the shouting. But it's one of those things where we've sat down and had the conversation, and we've gone, right, okay, what we need to do is we need to actually have these conversations. Like we've talked to you about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we've sat down and we've had the conversation. We've gone, right, okay, we need to talk about this before it does escalate to those points. Because when it does escalate to those points, both of us feel like crap
Mhm.
afterwards. And that's not
Yeah.
good for either of us. And that's not what we want. But like I said, it happens very, very rarely that we
Yeah.
shout at each other. Most of the time, we're just taking the piss out of each other. Or we'll just stand and have a conversation and go, I don't like this the way that this is doing. Like, right, okay, how can we change that? And then we try to change it. It's one of those. And obviously, like when we have kids, hopefully we'll have got to that point. Because, like I said, I'm not having kids right now because I'm not at a financial state that I'm able to have children, and
Mhm.
I feel like I'm only just, as a 31-year-old, only just getting to the stage where I am emotionally ready to have children.
Right. Right. Yeah, no. I am I have made the decision. I've known since I was 16 that I don't want to have kids. But it's one of those things where it's like my family we've been like my family is American. We don't have such a stigma against being in therapy, which just seems like there's a huge stigma for people in therapy here in the UK. It seems to be getting better, but it still feels like the UK as far as when it comes to like mental health and caring for your mental health is still like maybe 20 or 30 years behind where the US is at right now. Um which is really, really sad because you have all of these people and I've seen people say, um, "You just need to go have a drink and talk to the bartender about it." And it's like,
Oh yeah,
that is not that is not constructive problem solving.
either that
Um
or the vast majority of us have got the keep calm and carry on attitude from the war
mhm,
still,
yeah, and it's like
which I don't get. Like,
well, and that's honestly, there's a lot of things. The consumerism in America is also left over from World War II. Because of the rationing and like one of anyways, that's a whole other subject. But we're kind of getting to the point where we need to wrap up here. Um, it is one of those things where I've been in therapy for so long. I think I started going to therapy, and off and on, right? It hasn't been the entire time, but I started going to therapy at like 14. Because that's when my parents started realizing, oh, we should get some help, right? Because they had their own issues and they finally started getting help, which means I grew up with a completely different version of my parents than my older siblings did, right? So, because by the time my parents were kind of getting into therapy, my eldest sister, she was already like out and like at college and university or whatever, so she was already an adult. So she had had an entire childhood with this version of my parents, whereas I was still young and impressionable and saw the changes happening, which then also meant that I was able to get into therapy and really make things work for me. But the fact that I've paid so much for therapy and done so much therapy in my life that I can then help you guys like talk through things because
Yeah.
I've I've spent so much time in therapy and so much money that's like at least I can express to you what I think would be the best way to approach your guys' problems. I
Yeah.
have no idea if it actually helps or not, but I hope
It
that
has
it
been
would.
helping. It has
Good.
been helping.
Um, but anyways, I don't know. I think I still have like a good 10 things on this list, but we just don't have the time
That's
to
okay.
go through
We
them
could do a
all.
part 2.
I mean, we're probably gonna have like all the way up to a part 47, considering how many things like we're just kind of over. I didn't realize that those like 2 or 3 things that we covered would be like such conversation sparkers, but at least I know now.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, that being said, this has been Underqualified and Over It.
If you've made it this far, that's on you.
Catch you next time. Bye. You gonna say bye? No? Oh. Oh, okay.
Hustle hard, hustle every single day.